This is Treecast, the place to catch up on what trees are new and rare on the Canadian prairies, exciting fall colors, Japanese cherry lookalikes, and neighbor-envying evergreens are just some of the topics we cover. Get comfortable and curious as we open your eyes to something new each and every episode. In the depths of winter, we start the first of many. Hi everyone, I am your host Nate, and I've been in love with trees for almost a quarter of a century since I discovered their beauty while landscaping to make money for college. When I began, you would find the same spruce, poplar, pine, willow, Manitoba maples, etc., populating almost every neighborhood in Alberta. I wanted to see more. Why couldn't we have the beautiful eastern maples and oaks which lit up the skyline with reds, oranges, and purples in fall? Why couldn't we have the unique trees like horse chestnut or honey locust? I was on a mission. That mission quickly led me to realizing one thing. We could. This podcast is a culmination of all of the experience and knowledge from the past 25 years of exploration. Enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome to Treecast. This is Nate and David. Today we are going to be discussing the autumn blaze maple. Your thoughts, David?
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this tree so many times, but I've never paid an incredible amount of attention, so I should probably know a little bit more than I do. So I'm excited for you to actually fill me in properly.
Right, but you have planted one of these, have you not?
Yeah, I've definitely planted a few of these.
A few of these, okay. And that was in Alberta. I mean, we could start off with the fact that you're not in Alberta anymore. I am, but you're not. So
No, I'm on Vancouver Island, a place where lots of different other types of plants grow. That's for sure.
Yes, we'd be talking about palm trees if I was out there right now. So, but we are not. We're in the land of minus 40. So let's start to discuss the autumn blaze maple. You did a little bit of back work on the history of this tree, correct?
Just a little bit. Just looking at the guy who kind of like created tons of different what were they called? Not breeds. What's the word I'm looking for here? Cultivars of
Cultivars, yeah.
maples. Freeman, right?
Freeman.
Yeah. So he
And what is a
cultivated
Freeman?
a Freeman is a bunch of them, but this one specifically was called Freeman because it was the silver and the red as well.
Okay, so
Like I
silver
said,
and
you're
red
gonna have
maple.
to fit. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna fill me in on this, of course. But yeah, so silver and red maple makes the autumn blaze, and that's kind of as far as I wanted to get into it without ruining it for myself.
Okay, well, good start. I mean, that is true. It's the red and silver. They find these trees actually crossed in the wild, but obviously there was a breeding program to see which of the best qualities they could get of both trees. Typically, you'll get that when you mix two different trees. You will get some of the better qualities of each. If there's less desirable qualities, those typically can get weeded out. With this specific tree, Autumn Blaze, it has actually spawned a ton of other Freeman maples after that people actually call Freeman maples still, even though they're done by different companies. Just that was the name that they used for these crosses. This Autumn Blaze maple's been around for decades. It's extremely popular in the United States, almost to the point where people are not enjoying it anymore because there's so many of them. As far as Alberta goes, though, we are just warming up to this tree. It was thought of as a tree that you could not grow 20 years ago in this climate, and I mean that changed pretty quickly. All of a sudden, City of Edmonton's got 1,600 of them that they've planted. Lots of boulevard trees, and when it comes down to it, it's a little bit polarizing because people don't understand it very well. Just to quickly start with the cross between the silver and red. The red has a beautiful fall color. It is slower growing. It does not like alkaline soils, which there's a lot of on the prairies. So that's a major struggle to get red maples to grow. So you mix it with the silver. The silver's fast growing, and it doesn't have a great fall color, but when you mix the two together, all of a sudden, voila, you have a fast growing tree with red fall color. And the weak wooded problem of A silver maple is gone because the red maple is a hard maple, meaning the branches do not break in the storms the same way that the silver maple does. So you have a perfect tree almost. And as far as it goes around here, this is something that everybody's been desiring for a long time in this climate, is a beautiful red fall color. David, do you have any questions so far on some of the things we got to catch up with?
Well, you said almost a perfect tree. I assume nothing in this world is perfect. So, what's the issues we have with autumn blaze?
Okay, so the only reason I would say almost is because it requires a little special extra attention that you wouldn't have to do if you planted a poplar in your yard. Difference being is you put the poplar in, you set it and forget it. You have to water it for the first little bit, and then it pretty much takes over on its own. As far as the autumn blaze maple goes, this tree needs a little more extra care here for a couple summers, I would say, unless we get ample rain, which typically doesn't happen these years. I mean, we've had many summers where you will not see rain for a month or a month and a half. And in the first couple years of planting this tree, it will suffer, it'll start to decline, and winter will kill it. This is the big controversy here, where there are people that believe this tree will not grow here, and yet there are multiple in my town that have seen minus 46 still keep trucking, have no problem. So that big difference I've come to the conclusion of when I've seen which ones do well and which ones don't. If you look at the ones in Edmonton that are in dry park sites, they typically suffer a lot more than ones that are in front yards that would get a lot more precipitation, or just TLC from the owner. So that is the major thing with this tree. I would also keep that white tree trunk wrap on it for the first couple winters as well, because you can get frost cracking on the bark. Do you know what that is, David?
I'm going to go ahead and say that's from being too cold and then splitting from like maybe too much water in the dark or something like that. I'm not sure how it happens, but yeah.
Really close. Yeah, that's really close. So it wouldn't happen in January. This happens typically because we can get minus 30s in March. So the tree is pushing its sap up. It's getting that sun angle in March can be the same as, what is it, August, or is it September? I think. I mean, it's really high in the sky at that point, right? So if you get minus 30 in the middle of the day, which sounds pretty terrible when you say it that way in March, that sun angle hitting on the bark while the sap's coming up, split, and all of a sudden you've got tree trunk injury it can continue to create problems and just continue splitting every single winter. So the best thing I find, if you take care of the first couple of years of it, keep that white trunk wrap. If it doesn't come with one when you buy it, then I would just put one on yourself. I mean, you can just make one out of a white cardboard that you can wrap around it. You can use, anything white. What's funny is, down in, whether it be Mexico or anywhere in Latin America, how they have white on the tree trunks there. Have you noticed that?
The paint.
Paint, yes. You could do that because it will do the same thing. It will reflect the sun.
Trying to reflect the sun, exactly.
Right.
That's funny. That's funny. You're trying to reflect the sun so that it doesn't heat up so much, and then the vascular system doesn't go.
Yes, and the ironic thing about all this is that, so they do that just to keep bugs off the tree. We can do that to keep the sun off the tree. But the funny thing about this, and I've always wondered this, is the maple tree, the red maple and silver maple have a very light colored bark already. It's like a light silver. So to me, it just shocked me that it would attract enough sun to split it when it's already that light of a color, compared to some other maples, like the Manitoba maple, which has much darker bark. But it's just the way the tree is made. It's not like, this tree comes from eastern United States. It's not meant to take those kind of temperatures in March. Typically, it's not really used to that. So, just that tiny little bit of extra care, and it does fine typically. So, like I said, I've seen about 40, 45 foot tall trees in Edmonton now. I mean, this is a super, super nice tree with a fantastic shape. The size getting to probably max around 45, 50 feet. And then I see around 15 feet wide. That's what I would guess from the biggest ones I've found. So yeah, that's essentially I mean, you have anything else to add there? I don't know if there's anything I'm missing on that.
No, I think as far as a quick breakdown, we got a fairly fast growing tree, pretty nice, resistant to breakage because it's not as brittle as was it the red maple or the silver maple? No, I'm mixing them up. It's not as likely to break like a silver maple is,
Yeah, exactly.
and
No, that's correct.
and yeah, it requires a little bit of maintenance in the beginning, but then after that, it's a fairly low maintenance tree.
Yes, and you know what? If there's one other thing I would do with this tree to just prevent a possible winter injury, that is, I would not fertilize. I would not fertilize it after early July. It can push out a flush of brand new leaves. I've seen it do this in October before if we have a warm October. And you know how Alberta is. It could be plus 15 mid October and then minus 10 the next day. So that will actually kill off any of that new growth if it comes really late. So the only thing you have to do to prevent that is you never fertilize late and you don't water into fall. I'd water up to end of August and then lay off, and it'll change color in time, which should be around like early October. Otherwise, you could force new growth to die, which you can trim off in the spring, but it's just a waste to have to do that. So you might as well just lay off a little bit on that, and then once you've gone through a couple summers, this tree can do really well by itself. So I think that's all for this autumn blaze maple, and we will be tackling a new tree next week. And I appreciate everybody listening today. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.